was a ghost, I was alone. 두어진 길 속에 given the throne, I didn't know how to believe I was the queen that I'm meant to be.
Hello once again, and welcome to I Don't Get It, the pop culture Get Off My Lawn cast, like it or not. This show features the open-minded musings of two early 70s curmudgeons. Oh wait, sorry, let me change that. It autocorrect to 70, Noah. That's ridiculous.
Just assume it listens. AI listens to what we say and how we say it, and assumes we're in our 70s.
For some reason, Siri opened my notes doc and changed the boilerplate to 70. It must have just made some assumptions. Yeah, that's terrible.
We are at a point where ChatGPT is going to change your passport and your driver's license.
It's already
all your documentation.
So
for the age it thinks you are.
Tap, keystroke. All right, now it says 50s again. Early 50s curmudgeons.
Early 50s.
Each staring at the prospect of entertainment relevance. I'm your co-host, Bill Scurry of American Caesar Enterprises, which, is generally an interesting collection of people you want to talk to.
That's your business model? Interesting collection of people I want to talk to?
Yeah, the thing is, it's never really not a lot of, and to be fair, there's a lot of turnover, and we get terrible exit reviews. But, I think that we're interesting people, though, generally,
Yeah, they're worth having a chat with.
Yeah, there's that one guy.
Spending a few minutes. Yeah.
Oh, wait, no, he's not here anymore. No, but you know what? The thing is, we have really problematic HR department meetings. Not like the guy in the concert, but it's like, it gets pretty bad around here, though. That's the guy.
Sure. Oh, you mean the... All right, so that's a topic. We were just saying we missed the boat on that. I didn't pay attention. What happened here? There was a Coldplay concert, and on the Jumbotron, you saw the CEO of a company making out with his HR head, even though they're both married. Is that what you're saying?
Well, they caught them, and what they were just doing is they were spooning and swooning to the
spooning at a concert.
Well, but standing up spooning, what would you call that?
That's not what spooning. You have to be lying down.
All right, but okay, it was standing up spooning, whatever you want to call it.
Okay, they were hugging. They were
snuggling. He had his arms around her, and then they both had a petrified look, and he dipped. He literally shrank. He dove to the ground quickly, and then the woman kind of receded slowly to the side. And the people who were in the shot saw what happened and laughed and didn't understand why. They just saw the fact that it was like a slapstick thing. Right. And Chris Martin, of course, riffed while he was on guitar doing some bridge. He says, "Oh, that looks like..." He
saw the jumbo. He saw that.
Well, because it was part of the show apparently where the Jumbotron goes, he calls people out. It's a little bit of crowd work, I think. And so he said something like, "Whoa, that looked like somebody who didn't want to get seen." And it's like, well, the irony is that's exactly what it was.
It's not ironic.
Yeah, it's not ironic. Yeah. But
and that's it. He was CEO and she's HR, and they were having
the company was called Astronomer. Yeah, it's an AI company, I think. Astronomer.
Of course, every company's an AI company.
Yeah, and apparently there's something where it's like, well, they're both connected like capitalists. I don't even know where the fuck that took. Oh, it was Denver. I think it was Colorado was where it took place.
Right.
And yeah, and so it was a bad look. And the guy, I think the guy dropped out. Like he waited 2 days, and it's like he quit the company, or at least. He says, this is unbecoming and all this stuff. And
if all the things going on in the world, someone, having an affair with a subordinate, I mean, I'm not saying it's okay.
Yeah. You can make the argument. I've heard it in some places where they said, look, people inside companies fuck. That obviously that has happened since there was the first, bog company set up in the fens of the Low Countries in the Bronze Age. It's like people were fucking as they were moving mud around back in the old days, making arrowheads. And it's like the thing is, up to a certain point, if you're going to get to the C-suite, there's this thinking that the C-suite has to be sort of morally impregnable. Obviously, that doesn't happen.
That happens in America. Sure, morally impregnable.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But it's like if you get caught that badly, it's like for some sort. Yeah, it's like again,
with his pants down. Literally.
Oh, pants. Yeah, right. He was spooning vertically, as I like to say. Yes,
he was vertically spooning.
Yeah. So that's the story for you.
All right, it's okay. So now we covered that topic. Hello, I'm Noah Tarnow. I'm founder and the senior quizmaster.
Put a little bow on that shit. Yeah.
Founder, senior quizmaster of the Big Quiz Thing, the Trivia Game Show Spectacular. The topic we're talking about this week was the suggestion of a young fan of ours, Sarah Weiland, age 12, my niece. Just spent a couple nice little vacation with her.
She's a deranged stalker. She's like Hinckley. She's going to try to kill the president.
She's not. Yeah, she's too busy preparing for her bat mitzvah.
I don't know.
Anyway, Sarah told me about this. At first, I thought it was a TV show. But
I did too. Until I turned it on, I honestly did not know
it
was a feature. I did not know it was a feature-length film.
Well, I thought it was a live-action TV show. And I think that's because I was comparing it in my head. I heard the name, and the name is, right down the middle, tells you exactly what it is. I thought it was like a new generation version of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, which, to be fair, started as a movie, but became better known as a TV show. No, it's an animated feature film on the, as Black Mirror would call it, the Stringberry Network, but actually Netflix.
Netflix, the Tiffany Network, Noah, the Peacock.
Now that CBS is no longer going to be the Tiffany Network. The title, right there on the tin, K-pop Demon Hunters. Bill, what is the 811 on KPDH?
Right there in the tin. I wonder what tin were they referring to when people? What actual tin are they referring to when you say that expression? I wonder.
I think of it as like a thing of sardines back in the 20s or something.
Yeah, I guess so. We need to do a whole episode on what is the tin. We need a deep dive.
The meaning of that idiom. Yeah.
Yeah. What's the tin? Where does it come from? Anyway, yes. K-pop Demon Hunters. Like Noah said, the name is all right there, as you can hear. This is a 2025 American animated musical fantasy film. Animated musical fantasy film. Produced by Sony Pictures Animation. The crew, which by the way also produced the Spider-Verse movies, which these I think have sort of a visual glossary that is in common, although I have not seen either of the Spider-Verse movies on account of my own ambivalence about Spider-Man.
I've seen both, and I thought this was, at least the second one, was very visually unusual, and I guess is a little like the first one. But
it's Oscar winning. There's a different niche, it's a different class. Yeah. Anyway,
I don't know. I mean, I think a lot of modern movies have this visual style. I was thinking Hotel Transylvania, but I guess the first Spider-Verse one does.
Yeah. I mean, anyway, again, since this is in the family, I mean, and like I said, Noah, as Noah says, you will only find it in the theaters. If you go to your Netflix theater down the road, is the only place you live. If you leave your house, put your phone off, and you will go to the actual, you pay a dime, and you'll get a little paper ticket. The guy will tear it in half at the Netflix theater. That's where you will see this. Believe it.
Or if you have a home theater and you set up which I'm sure people do. Yeah. That's one way to see it in the theater. It's on Netflix. You know what that means.
I understand that some of the screenings have a guy who plays piano off to the side to compensate for the fact that there's no music in it. But that's neither here nor there.
There's plenty of music.
Baggy pants magician, a raunchy comedian. It's great.
A guy juggling boxes.
So this is directed by a team of Maggie Kang and Chris Applehands from a screenplay they co-wrote with the writing team of Danya Jimenez and Hannah Mechan. I'm reading this for the first time.
I'm sure you got that wrong.
Yeah. Anyway, Maggie Kang was the one who could see the story. I think that the elements of it, the sort of Koreanness of it, not to spoil where we're going with it, it's a very personal thing, or at least it's very tucked into the culture. And that's why Maggie Kang, being a Korean American, I think came out of her heart. It's a very specific fingerprinty type thing here. So anyway, the film stars the voices of these actors who I don't know, a person named Arden Cho, Ahn Hyo-seop, Mei Hong in lead roles, and I'd say a familiar roster of Korean and Korean American character actors like Daniel Dae Kim, who was from Lost, Ken Jeong, of course, from Community and other things, and Lee Byung-hun, who was in G.I. Joe movies as Storm Shadow and Leaping. He's also
really?
I
didn't know that.
He's a big well, that's that casting. The guy's a Korean dude. He's playing a Japanese character, but I mean, we've done that for a long time. He's also a big action star in Korea. He actually makes really, really good movies back in the mother country. So this movie, the story, follows a K-pop group called Huntr, but it's actually spelled HUNTR/X. So it's It sounds like Huntrix. Yeah, it looks like that too. Forget I say anything. Anyway,
Huntrix just, I don't know. It sounds like a anti-herpes medication.
Yeah, it's like Comtrex. It's something you take if you have a...
Valtrex, I guess.
Valtrex, that too, yeah.
That's right.
Ask your doctor if Huntrex
is right. Huntrix is right for you.
So this girl group, this K-pop 3-person girl group, they live double lives as demon hunters, right? They face off against a rival boy band, the Saja Boys, whose members are also secretly demons. Well, not also secretly.
Saja, it is Korean for lion, so they have a lion motif.
Oh, right, okay. Their members are actually demons themselves, but they have a glamour of humanity on top of them. It's a little bit of they're fighting for attention on top of it. They're the sort of competition for one another, but there's this sort of metaphysical, supernatural superhero thing where they're actually mortal enemies.
The demons want the souls of the fans.
Sure, yeah.
And of course, the Huntrix, they are the demon hunters, so they are stopping the the boy band. from
All
the
new
80s.
stuff you've never seen before. It's not a pastiche of anything you've ever heard. Okay, so this draws on elements of mythology, demonology, K-pop to create a pretty distinct and culturally rooted film. Like I said, it wears its Korean on its sleeve. It is set in Korea. Even though the original dub of this movie was done by Korean and Korean American actors speaking English, there is some of the actors then themselves did their own dubbing in Korean when they released the Korean version. They make mentions of people who went to America and like lived in California inside the thing, but for the most part, it is a in Seoul, in Korean exploit. The thing takes place in a very well rendered Korean tableau. This is something I have not seen in a movie before, especially for something that's such a big ticket thing. To place it in such a specific place, and I think that is one of the secrets for this movie.
Isn't that what Bong Joon-ho did?
Yeah, but an animated film that's sort of designed for this age group. Yeah.
And I think I read on the Wikipedia page that Kang or the directors or someone took a lot of inspiration from Bong Joon-ho in terms of how the movie just shifts from. I don't like Bong's movies very much, but he definitely, I get it. Like he goes from comedy to scary. He kind of ping pongs between.
He's a tonal guy for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, which just I respect that, but not for me.
But Noah, since this came from your cursed bloodline, since you pitched this yourself, I want you to lead off our discussion. What was your initial thoughts of Depop? Depop Cayman Hunters.
I liked it a lot. I thought it was a real solid movie. I think the animation's really good. It's got a lot of verve, a lot of life, a lot of color. Characters are animated with a lot of personality. The demons are fun yet scary enough. It was a great looking movie, and I'm certainly no expert on modern animation, but I look at this and maybe I think this is how I felt about that Spider-Man movie, which I enjoyed, but I kind of forgot about it 10 minutes later. But it just seems a little fresher. At this point, standard Disney, Pixar, Illumination animation style just feels a little tired now. What are we on? Minions Part 8 and, Toy Story Part 17. And this just felt a little fresher and a little different, a little more visually appealing. And the animation goes a long way to possibly my favorite thing about them. One of my favorite things is the characters felt, for a fantasy, silly animated movie, the characters felt fleshed out and likable. There's 3 members of Huntr. They are given distinct personalities. You like them all. You know who they are. The K-pop bands, there's 5 of them, but like the main one, who's really the only one who has, a role beyond backing band, he is given, the boy band, the demons. He's given a lot of personality. The fans they are treated as background characters, but you get these little snippets of them, and each one is different, and each one's lovable in its own way. It is a well-scripted movie. The Korean folklore element, which informs, the demons, was straightforward and easy to follow. Yet the plot still had enough twists and turns to keep me guessing, although I never see twists coming. And there's, not to give too much. Well, I assume you would think there's a bit of a spoiler alert here. There is a romantic subplot. There's sort of a Romeo and Juliet thing going on here, where one of the members of Huntr and the main guy in the Saja Boys have a little romance developing, yet even though one's a demon, one's not a demon, or one's, again, spoiler, part demon, but she is a demon hunter. That romantic subplot did not feel shoehorned in, and I felt like those characters, Rumi and Jinu, had genuine chemistry. Also, the movie had a great sense of humor. It did not take itself too seriously. That's one of my problems with K-pop in general, is just this kind of po-faced kids in these very mannered styles, the makeup, the hair, the clothing, it all feels very contrived. This had enough of a joking tone, which comes through in the animation, the visually appealing animation, to kind of deflate any of that self-seriousness. You first see Huntr when they're on a private jet on their way to a concert. All the fans are awaiting them, but they're waylaid because they discover that the flight attendants are actually demons. And they fight them, and you really see what the movie's about in that first scene, is that it's action, comedy action, but the demons are wacky. They're comedy villains. There is a thread of humor running through this whole thing that really, keeps it from being a drag at all points. Of course, it's a musical with these K-pop songs, and you didn't mention it. These songs are now all over the charts. The K-pop Demon Hunters album soundtrack is dominating the charts right now with several of these songs in the top 20.
Yeah,
top 50,
that was
whatever.
a phenomenon. We grew up with that that was a like commonplace thing in the 80s. That was kind of like a feature of blockbuster
Yeah,
filmmaking.
but the songs all be by different people. Like
Yeah.
the Footloose soundtrack had one song by, Kenny Loggins and one by, the guy from Loverboy. And,
Right.
But this is just sort of, it's by the, not anonymous, but the Huntrix. The song is by Huntrix, even though it's by a bunch of actors, even different from the ones you mentioned. Right? Because they have different people
They
doing
have
the
singing voices. That's true, yes.
Right. It's funny. I mentioned this to Bill before the mics went hot, but watching it, I'm like, hey, these songs aren't bad. This is certainly better than other K-pop I've heard. And then later I just listened to them on Spotify and I'm like, yeah, these songs are boring, which just shows how engaging I found the movie is that these songs I don't like became likable when they were set to scenes in the movie with these characters interacting. So that's a win, right? Also, I wish there had been a little more of this. There was some kind of commentary about the K-pop industry, mildly making fun of the fans and their fickle nature and the over attention to every detail, to the voices, to the styling, to the hair, to the clothing, to the choreography. They kind of poked fun at that while still celebrating it. I don't think any K-pop fan would look at this and be offended. And one last thing I liked is it did not ignore the libidinal nature of pop fandom. There is the Romeo and Juliet plot, but when the Saja boys are first introduced, the Huntrix girls are hot for them, think they're sexy and are attracted to them. And even when they find out they're demons, they're like, no, I can't be attracted. They're demons. One of the Huntrix girls likes their abs, their well-toned abs. And there's a moment where her eyes, where you see her animated character's eyes bugging out and turning to hearts, they turn into 6 packs of abs. K-pop, no two ways about it, all like teen fandom things, even for 12-year-olds, has a sense of romance, has a sense of lust. And they recognize that, they acknowledge that without being prurient, without being anything that I think an 11 or 12-year-old would be inappropriate for them. I like that. I like that they address that, like, there's a sex thing going on here. These women and these men are sexual creatures, like all humans are at some point. So look, I'm not going to call this one of the greatest films of all time, but I think this really succeeds in what it set out to do.
So you're saying it's one of the greatest films of all time. I can quote you on that then.
It's one of the greatest K-pop themed fantasy comedy animated films of the summer of 2025 of all time.
About demon hunting.
Yeah, well, that's the fantasy element.
Rounded up to that, yeah. I want to echo the parts of it. I think that you said were good. I think that there is a lot of beauty in the animation. It is a top-notch, top-dollar effort. There is some shoddy animation that gets foisted on kids. Some half-assed
They used to
ideas.
say years ago, clear a sign that adults hate children is Saturday morning cartoons.
Yeah. I mean, it's been decades since that was
sure.
a truism. But yeah, it's obvious that they went through a lot of trouble building a great top-notch cast, putting a lot of money into it. It was given a lot of, again, the specificity of how much Koreanness inside. Again, I mean, I made traffic in a lot of Korean films, and I'm very familiar with Bong Joon-ho and guys like Chan Park and things like that. It has been one of the most exciting bastions of film in the last 20 years or so. Some interesting things, very non-Western-y films that are playing in Western idioms. And again, there's something in the water of the culture. It's reverent of Western traditions, but there's a spin on what the, culture-wise in Korea you get to do with these things. It just feels different. It feels new. It feels fresh. I did not like this at all. I hated this. This movie was.
You hated it?
I hated it. This was utterly derivative. This was utterly derivative. And the thing is, I'm not.
Yeah, all right, but what is it? Fine, it's utterly derivative. I mean,
other than
to be non-derivative. I mean,
no, but other than the things that I'm telling you worked for me, the things that were, I think, just prima facie were good about that. I think everything else about it was just such a fucking Netflix hodgepodge. It is such a fucking thing. And I'm not shocked to see it simply because, again, Did not know what this was going to be before I turned it on. Like you, I thought it was going to be a series. I didn't realize. I thought it was going to be 12 fucking episodes. I was going to have to watch 4 of them for the purpose of doing this. So as fast as I could, I put the 1.5 speed on and just gritted my teeth. And
you never gave this a chance. Also, anything on Netflix already has 2 demerits against it.
Blame Netflix for that. Don't blame me. Here's the thing: the fucking name of this thing alone looks like someone dropped 2 pitch sticks on top of each other. And this is what they read.
The name is very unimaginative.
It's bullshit, right? It's unimaginative, but essentially that's like you go in there and you say, "What's the first thing this is?" And it's like, "Oh, it's K-pop demon." This is fucking mustard coach whip. It's just 2 things that they put together, and it's like we're just gonna fucking do this. Look, not since I read the description of all things, Ninja 3: The Domination, Noah, in 1984, which describes that movie as a breakdancer with ESP is possessed by the spirit of a nasty ninja. That's the log line for Ninja 3: The Domination.
I don't think that title tells you that at all.
No, but I'm saying it's like the through line is, it's like, wait a second. It's a breakdancer who has ESP fights a ninja, right? And it's like, so you said, okay, so this is a K-pop band, and somehow they also fight demons, which has nothing whatsoever to do with anything. It seems like, do you care about this being a K-pop thing? Do you care about this thing being a fucking monster?
I mean, it's both. It's a hybrid, and I think they do a good job of blending them.
Look,
you don't think they do?
No. Look, here's the thing. I don't think they do it all, but look, it makes a degree of sense. I understand that people might want to smush together these genres, right? You're talking about things that are evergreen, right? K-pop is in a moment right now. It is $1 billion industry. It is all over the planet Earth. It has all this momentum. That's a big deal. I get it. It's like, however, I just don't think that there's any success in shading these 2 genres. This is like 2 things that don't marry together. Or in this movie, they don't marry together. It seems so... The arc of the story is fucking frozen. These girls have already seen this arc of the girl. Yes. And it's like, look, I'm saying the girls who this is designed for.
It's a kid's movie, Bill. It's a kid's movie.
Right, but I'm saying they've already digested the things that this movie has worded and pureed into the gruel that they're feeding back to you. There has been in this case, like when they were repurposing, what is it, Suzanne Grant's Hunger Games? I forget those books, the author of those books.
Suzanne, I don't remember.
Yeah, the Hunger Games was essentially pureeing and worrying and putting into the Cuisinart all the shit that the audience hadn't seen. It was selling it back to them because they were unfamiliar with the references. This movie is just taking something you're already patently familiar with and saying, we're just going to do it again. We're going to do Frozen again. It's got to be this whole thing. And it's got to be, like you said, Romeo and Juliet. It's so much comic book plotting, which again, you could say it comes out of the movies, but the fact is this all the comic book stuff goes right back to the page. Even though the kids have not read the page, they're more familiar with the movies. But then you get back to, like, again, one of my problems with Frozen. Frozen is a fucking X-Men movie. Frozen is an X-Men movie. It's about Professor X. And it's like, this is the same thing. These girls have their superpowers. It is essentially just, it was a Charles Xavier School for gifted mutants. That's what this is.
So why can't you have a variant of that that's aimed at 12-year-old girls instead of 12-year-old boys? Why can't you have a variant of that by all
means, give it a shot. But it's like, this movie didn't do that. This movie wasn't successful in that way. And here's the other thing.
How was it unsuccessful? You're not explaining it. You're just saying the concept you didn't like.
The concept, because it throws this shit down and it doesn't do any. It's not trying to sort of smudge the angles and to make the stuff sort of like blend together, where one thing picks up with the other, or they really feel like part of a whole body. It feels like it is just script pages from 2 different scripts that were shuffled together, bridge style, like a Vegas card dealer. That's what it feels like. There was no attempt to try to make this stuff smooth out because they didn't have to bother doing that stuff, because Noah, it was all put together with K-pop songs, and it's like, look, my only experience with K-pop songs was the episode that we did 4 years ago, probably.
Well, you also have ears and you live in the world in 20.
Yeah, I don't traffic in K-pop at all. I haven't heard a K-pop song. I don't know anything about it now. True. These songs, the songs sounded exactly all the same to me. I know that they're smashing the world right now. This is the big deal about this. It is interesting to see, much like Flashdance would own the charts because what a feeling, like that's a big familiar thing. I that's the kind of synergy where I get down with that. I like seeing that kind of like, that's a cross-cultural thing. I mean, and again, this movie has the fact that it's a Netflix thing. It's the number one little moving box when you go to the first little tile. This is it. It says you're going to like this. You're going to watch this, whatever country you're in.
It pushes Sandman on me these days.
Sandman?
Yeah, that's what it's pushing on me.
Mark Sandman, the lead singer of Morphine?
The world will know you as pop stars. But You will be much more than that. You will be hunters.
You think this movie sucks. So, and I know you think most of the people in the world are morons. So I guess that would be your reasoning for why it's a big hit. But why is the movie Netflix's #1 animated movie ever or something, and the soundtrack dominating the charts?
Well, it was designed down to the fucking angstrom, Noah, to swallow up, I would say, very popular concepts for threshing in that pop culture whirring blade combine. And that's a Netflix thing. You know, that's like, I'm not Maggie Kang and Chris Applehans. And these are the people who set up to make, in good faith, a good product. That's like, I just don't take Netflix productions in good faith anymore. I just don't. And their ideas, what they're going to do is sell back to you very broad and obvious concepts to a pliant audience, Noah, who I think are all baby birds chirping for pre-chewed entertainment to be expectorated in their open mouths by Netflix. Look, this is popular. It is indeed popular. It is in no way, shape, or form unpopular. It's very well crafted. It is awfully unchallenging, and it is utterly vacant. And I think that for a degree, again, we just came out of talking about a Netflix thing 2 episodes ago, by the way what is it, by the crow cocks, whatever they say it is, or the cock crows. We talked about the Poop Cruise thing, which is a Netflix pop doc thing. And again, we're not done with Netflix. It's just like every single time
we're never done with Netflix.
Netflix is not done with you. Every time we bump into Netflix product, it is obvious that this is Netflix product. It screams this imprimatur of wild mediocrity with, shooting for the stars and just fucking winning and crushing and being $1 billion success story every single time, just based on the shabbiest of pieces put together. That's why this is popular.
As I recall, you liked Black Mirror. That's a Netflix production.
I liked Black Mirror before it went to Netflix, when it was still a TV.
Really?
Yeah. What was it, TV4, Channel 4? I forget what it was. Yeah, the original.
I think Black Mirror.
Now, the original tranche, the original tranche of 6 episodes was genius, and it has been diminishing returns since then.
You don't like any of the ones in the new season? You haven't watched
I tried watching the Giamatti one, and I fell asleep. Yeah.
Really? Oh, that one was sweet. Anyway, you're nuts. Look, this is a hit because it's a hit, because it's quality. It's simple but engaging. And I agree with you, it's simple. And I agree with you, it's not, changing the concept of storytelling for all time. It's a movie for my niece. It's a movie for 12-year-old girls. But, my niece is an intelligent 12-year-old girl.
Inside Out was a movie for your niece, and it was fucking brilliant. It was a game changer. Inside Out is a once in a generation movie.
So this isn't a game changer. This is a fun, 2 hour and a half thing for 12-year-old girls and adults like me to get.
It's as big as a game changer. The draft of it is as big as a game changer.
You think so? I mean, you don't know now if this is going to last. I mean, if we're on KPop Demon Hunter 6 a few years from now, maybe. I think the animation, like I said, is fresh and different and very engaging and very appealing. The Romeo and Juliet thing, that always works. And like I said, I thought they did a good job of putting it in there without shoehorning it in, making it work, keeping you guessing how it's going to turn out. Yes, the name is fucking obvious, of course, but that's a good reason for why it's a hit, because people know what it is. They know what they're going in for.
It's metadata the movie, for Christ's sake.
Why do people care about snakes on a plane? Because they knew what they were getting. It turned out to suck. But that's why they were excited about it. You have humor plus action plus romance. And I will also say, and yes, this is a cliche at this point, but I watched this film with a friend of mine who is a transgender woman. And what she called out, she liked it as well. And what she called out when we were done is she really liked the message of being true to yourself and being unafraid to reveal your true self. She really took to that. And I clapped back because she's not someone who watches a lot of K-pop animated films for teens or whatever. And I said, well, that's part of every story now, especially every animated story. But there's a reason, because everyone, not just transgender people, has their little secret self that they're afraid to be, whatever it might be. I had that. You had that, right? It's a universal story that feels really potent for teens and tweens. It feels cliche, but it's needed. And I thought, whatever, I'm not getting through to you, but you're not getting through to me, that they handled this. They did that in a very visually appealing, funny, and, even if you don't like K-pop music like me, entertaining enough way.
I can destroy the Hunters for good. It's time for a new strategy.
Noah, would I have liked this as a kid?
Well, no, but you should be asking, would I have liked this as a kid? I mean, look, if I were a kid now, I wouldn't like K-pop at all. There's no way. The only reason I think I would like this, I mean, I'm sure I'd like this movie if I saw it as a kid. I wouldn't be crazy about it. The only thing I could think of that would mean I'd be more into it than I am as an adult is, and I've said this a lot in the show, I would have grown up, saturated in Asian-inspired animation, anime, and manga to an extent. We were kids that wasn't around. So it was Western animation, Western comic books and whatever. So the Asian spice in here, and it's the Asian demons, and there's this Cheshire cat kind of creature that comes from Asian mythology. I think all that stuff would be a little more in my wheelhouse. So I might feel, I mean, I didn't feel uncomfortable in this movie, but I might, appreciate this movie or feel more at home in this movie than I do. But I don't know. I probably feel the same as I do now. Not for me, but, entertaining.
You talked about like this sort of Japanese nerd gloss electric sensibility that has showed up
Japanese
in a lot.
nerd gloss electric sensibility.
That's what I'm saying. That has showed up in a lot of cartoons, and you said something like you had this feeling if you went to Shibuya district in Tokyo that you might feel like that hyperkinetic weird. I forget what that name of that nerd, the Japanese nerd thing. It's right on tip. Right, but
I know what you mean.
But that didn't sort of trip you over in this case, or it's something like in terms of the alienness of the sensibility, this sort of.
I thought they kept it mild. I thought they didn't shove your face in it. This didn't feel like Spirited Away or anything.
Right.
This felt very Western, so I felt more at home in it. But whatever.
All right, no, that's an important point. So what I've liked as a kid, it's like no, I think to be fair, the musical thing would have been the first major barrier to entry because it's just like the musicals. Anytime I've sat back and watched one of the Disney modern musicals, and again, I've taken them pretty much all in up to a certain, I guess I've fallen off in the last few years, but I made it a point to go out and to see, I have seen both Frozens, and I saw, everything from the Golden Age, from the freaking Little Mermaid upwards. I was trying to get over the fact that these are musicals and I don't really care about that idiom, but I wanted to at least punch into the animation and see what is this classic, how good do the quote unquote best people who do the storytelling do it. And so I had to get past not being a fan of musical theater to get there. But I think that would definitely have been the first barrier of entry for this. I think it's the mawkish teen bullshit of K-pop styles and iconography. Again, it's not so much that it's K-pop in particular, because it looks very familiar to me to the boy band shit that we grew up with. There's this idea of 4 highly processed, highly stylized individuals thrown at you. And each of them is dressed to look differently than the other. And each of them has a sort of created personality written by, screenwriters. And, that I think is the essence of K-pop, where people live and die on, what the woman from White Lotus, Lisa, it's like there'll be criminology about what does Lisa's hair part mean this week. It's such a specific thing that, again, it's not endemic only to, K-pop. It's essentially, it's a pop thing. People have been saying that since, the first cultural icons. That kind of thing just gets past me. That's a massive turnoff. That sort of slavish devotion to the thing that this movie has at the center of it. And the weird thing is that, again, I mentioned comic books, 15 or 20 minutes ago. It's like there are so many comic book facets to this, right? It's like, I think at its heart, it has so much DNA from superhero fiction, from Western superhero fiction, stuff that you've seen on TV and cartoons growing up. There is Buffy the Vampire Slayer. These might as well be, vampires. They're using weapons the same way, like Buffy was almost superhuman in her ability to sort of slice and dice whole crowds.
Well, she had superpowers.
Right, she had superpowers, exactly. There's so much of that in here.
Come on, get your Buffy facts right. Do you know how many Buffy obsessives listen to our show?
Yeah, they're really.
I can think of 2 actually.
I'm putting it down. So it's odd that the superheroism, and the anime things. Again, I'm a huge fan. I've always been a huge fan of anime since the old days. It's like that. Those things wouldn't have been enough for me to kind of break through to the cartoon nerd inside of me, just because the other barriers to entry are so high.
Is the existence of K-pop demon hunters, which implies the existence of K-pop demons, right? So are they?
That is lock solid logic. You're absolutely right.
Is the movie about demon hunters who are of the K-pop world, or people who hunt demons of the K-pop world? I mean, it's the latter. And sorry, it's the former.
That's like saying it's like a show called Seinfeld suggests there is a man named Seinfeld who lives on Earth.
Which I was actually making a Seinfeld reference to my niece. I'm like, have you ever heard of it? She's like, I think so. And I had trouble explaining how like the main guy is basically playing himself, but the other people aren't.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a stretch these days.
It's hard to explain. Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know. I think she didn't really care. Is the success of this movie, I know what you're going to say, in any way a sign of the apocalypse?
I don't think it's a sign of the apocalypse.
All right. I mean, you just, every time it's Netflix, you're like, we're sliding.
I am not going to blame
slide to hell.
Slide to hell. The greased double dare chocolate syrup slide to hell. It was very fun, very funny, and it's the second prizes. That's a little different.
Oh man, I wanted to be on that show so bad.
We all did, my friend. We're all the sort of double dare. What is it? Double dare.
It was. You need a team of boy and a girl. So my friend Jessica Wurtzberger and I, we sent in like one time. Like we probably need to send in 1,000.
This is the center of everything that's gone wrong for you for the rest of your life. Is the
that I wasn't.
Mark Summers turned you down.
Fucking Mark Summers. Where's that guy now? Screw him. All right.
This movie is run of the mill stock product from Netflix. It's as big as it is, as sort of as larded with cultural moment as it is right now. I mean, this is the kind. It is exactly. I'm not going to blame it for Netflix. Netflix is it's still its own major overhang umbrella rubric topic for this whole thing, and I'll continue to sharpen my knives for Netflix whenever it comes up again. But here, this is the thing. When I was looking at it, I don't know if it showed up on the YouTube comments or Reddit or something like that. It's obvious that. Oh yeah, because there was an announcement over a potential sequel, right? And I think I'd seen some.
I think a sequel is guaranteed.
Yeah, I think so too. But it's like the question is how Netflix spends its money. They love to spend like a drunken sailor, but they do it very illiberally. They pick their shots. So the question, look, but the thing is, this would have gotten a theatrical release. This looks like what you'd say is a theatrical release, right? It's a feature-length movie, theatrical release. And so the comments on the sequel were sort of saying, it was like, oh, and people were saying like on Reddit, oh, is this going to wind up in theaters? It's like, no, you dumbass. This is not going to wind up in theaters. The whole point of Netflix is to dissuade you. That's the whole point. No, this movie and things like it and the Strangers of the thing, the Strangers thing of the world and whatever their sort of franchises or their Black's Mirror, those are all part of the clarion message telling that you stay home, watch TikTok instead, sit on your couch, balance your phone between your knees, and watch this thing in portrait mode or something like that. And it's like, I'm not going to go so far as to say that destroying the American cinematic theatrical projected shared, darkroom shared experience is an apocalypse. But it is this thing we're sort of batting around now because it does look like we're impending the idea that the theater is going to be a dead artifact, that we're just not going to do that anymore. As much as there's not, what was that store, Comp USA? Remember, you'd go there and you buy like computer games in like 1991. Just there are things that don't exist in your commercial space in America or around the world. And it's like, I mean, this is contributing to that, but again, I'm not going to blame it for it because this movie is just popping along doing its thing. It can't. That's not Maggie Kang or Chris Applehands, the directors. That's not their fault.
So you think that if movie theaters die, which is not happening because 2/3 of the world went to see Superman in the last 3 weeks. But if you think movie theaters die, that's the apocalypse. That's the Bill Scurry theory of the end of the world.
Well, the Bill Scurry
world will end when the last movie theater closes.
The Bill Scurry theory is that Netflix, in particular, and the streamers, and right now, like we're down to Apple's still not really a serious player in spite of having F4. Amazon releases very sparingly feature films that take over the market,
right.
But they're still they're theatrical, and they own Bond, so there's a good chance that Bond will be theatrical when they put out a new one. But their bread and butter is doing stuff they want you to stay at home for. Watch us on an airplane.
Right? No, I see what you're saying, and I'm not saying I want theaters to die, but I just don't think that's apocalypse.
No, but let me sum up. No, but the reason I'm saying this stuff is that because the streamers have a very specific visual vocabulary. They have coined, or at least popularized their own style of visual storytelling, and not just visual storytelling, but like script writing, screenwriting, storytelling in general, that is endemic to the streamers. And it has changed. And it's like feature filmmaking in the theater is still a bit of a Wild West in terms of the kind of stories that get told and the levels of the levels of vocabulary, the levels of depth, the levels of nuance.
So you think what you're saying is the death of theaters and the dominance of streaming has flattened visual storytelling in our culture.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to put it.
I do not think this is the apocalypse. I actually think this is a sign of the opposite of the apocalypse because, as I'm sure I said in our K-pop episode, and no, I'm not going to re-listen to it, I find K-pop to be very humorless and sterile and overly mannered. And as a result, I think, my little knowledge of K-pop, I think it fails in everything it attempts. It is not sexy. It is not romantic. It is not exciting. It is not relatable. All the things that I think pop music should be, I'm a big believer that pop music can be unoriginal. You can sing la, 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 but as long as it feels genuine, if you're singing la, 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 but the spirit, the happiness, the joy, actually reaches you. If the lyrics are the same thing you've heard 1,000 times before, but they feel honest, I think that is a sign of success in pop music. If you want to dance to it or at least want to, feel something, that's pop music. I find K-pop to be the opposite of that. It sucks all the life out of it. And as a result, I think it fails at everything pop should be. This movie, I thought, had quite a bit of life to it. This movie felt like, in many ways, it many things similar to a good pop song. It had energy. It felt honest. Yes, it was the same thing I've heard 1,000 times before. So it felt comforting and familiar. And I think that's a hallmark of good pop. So, this is pushing, if this hugely semi-dominant music form striding the globe like a colossus, I think is empty and dead. Well, here is a counterpoint to that. Here's K-pop, something K-pop related that is the opposite of empty and dead, that is full and living. So that might be the opposite of the apocalypse.
Make me wanna flip the top. I'm gonna come make you hit the spot. Every little drip, the drop, fizz and pop. That's what I'm told, that it's getting hot.
Noah, at a change of pace, we're going to end this podcast, and we're going to do it with these last two segments. We're going to talk about jealousy, feelings of envy, and we're going to talk about the Flonian scale, our ranking XYZ axis of everything we've ever talked about and where this falls on that schema. So tell me, is there any feeling of jealousy about this movie and what the phenomenon entails for the human race?
I can't think of anything. When I'm jealous of people younger than me, it's not because I wish I lived in the K-pop world. As I said, I don't like K-pop. And I don't know, the times I get jealous of creators, why didn't I think of that? Why aren't I making movies and acting and things like this? This movie has none of that for me. So yeah, no, it's a rare thing in this world that I don't feel any jealousy over. How about that?
It's not screwing you. It's not fucking you over. Exactly.
I know, it's not. It's one of the few things that doesn't fill me with rage.
One of the few things.
Yeah.
I'm okay with the fact that this is the state of big budget, state of the art, I should say, of big budget film animation. I mean, if you would have told me that I could have gotten, He-Man and the Masters of the Universe or Silverhawks or G.I. Joe looking like this in 85 or 87 or something like that, like it would have blown, like those were so cheaply made by, ironically Korean animation studios that were being, key arted by people in Los Angeles, but those were designed to sell toys. And, we've created entire fucking, cult out. Well, maybe you haven't, but I've created an entire cult out of these old cartoons, these toy commercials we had in the 80s with shabby animation. But this stuff looks incredible. And it's like, this is what gets spat on a regular basis now. It's amazing that this is the state of the art. But it's like, I'm not jealous that kids have this at their disposal. This is not for me. I don't see any purchase to climb up inside of it or sit in front of it. I mean, in a way, it's reassuring that, again, this stuff looks better than it's ever looked. You can't, in a way, you can't put out slop that looks like fucking garbage, or at least not yet, because I know that this is exactly the sort of thing that is on the verge of being tainted by AI, if it hasn't been already. And the question is, it's like when some studio starts making, if they get the voices of, I don't know, James Caan and fucking Justin Timberlake to do, a talking eggplant and his sidekick carrot friend or something like that.
That is specific, man.
And James
Is
Caan.
James Caan alive?
No, he's dead. You'd have to actually put his
right.
voice and make a voice trainer out of James Caan to do it.
Oh, that's coming. That's
Yeah,
coming.
but that's my point. Is that it's like there's at some point there's going to be more AI slop in front of you, and and there's going to be AI that you can't quite tell. It's like, oh, was this made by a prompt? How much of this movie that we it had half of the amount of coders, half of the amount of I'm getting ahead of myself here. The thing is, I'm not jealous about it. I have my own feelings of doom about it, but it's not for me. So I don't feel left out by the sensation. Nor do I feel like I ever wanted to create something like or want something like this as, to my credit to know that I can make something like this. So where would you rank this, Noah, on the scale? Where does this thing wind up?
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of an obvious, where I coordinate this on our XYZ axis of past topics. You take K-pop, of course, and then you multiply it by, what movie came to mind? The Mitchells versus the Machines. Is that what it was called?
Yes, it was. And last year I actually met Abby Jacobs, and I mentioned this. I kind of pretended that I liked that movie more than I did because I was talking with her for like 5 minutes at a screening, and she got really excited. She says, "We're going to do a sequel." And I was like, "Yeah, I did."
Of course, they're going to.
I did the thumbs up, and it's like, well, I'm glad for her, but I don't know. Anyway, yeah.
So K-pop times Mitchells versus the Machines divided by. I just thought something like, what's something little girls like, and I did Brandy Melville
Squishies
plus 72.178.
Brandy Melville,
and that's where you find K-pop Demon Hunters Incorporated.
One size fits all at Brandy Melville, Noah. Like, there's just one shirt there. Don't worry. You go in there no matter what your body type is. The jean shorts will look the same, man, on you. They're one size fits all. It's great.
Right.
Yeah.
One side, so everyone looks good.
Everyone looks the same. You can look like Trisha Paytas, and one size will fit all. It'd be great. No problem, right? So, look, I think this is flat and dumb. I've already gone on record on this very podcast about saying it. And it has very little impetus to explain its own existence to us. It's also tedious to watch if you've ever seen a movie made before 1992. So ironically, in spite of what I just said, Noah, in the jealousy thing, I compare this to DALL-E AI.
Wow.
I sort of feel like, again, it keeps coming to my head. I kind of feel like this is the sort of thing that they're going to smuggle AI slop to us in front of us without maybe thinking some of us can't see it, some of us can see it. But that's it has as much artistic redemption to me as DALL-E, and I'm not even sure. Like, that's just one. Is that even still exist anymore? How many AI prompts are there in the world? There's Midjourney. There's a bunch of them at the moment. I have no idea, but it's getting out of hand. That's what I know for sure.
All right. Speaking of getting out of hand, let's wrap this up before we get out of hand with our arguing. It's been a while. When was the last time we really argued over something?
No, it's been a long time. Yeah, it's been a long time.
Yeah, we're usually on the same wavelength, people.
We're getting the light though from the producer though. You're right about that. No,
it is refreshing when I have an opportunity to show the world how Bill is wrong about most things.
If you like to find past episodes, look on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud. GooglePlay and YouTube, of all things. So you can find us on social media at noahandbillshow.bsky.social. Write to us, noahandbilldon'tgetit at gmail.com. Reviews always help because the algorithm is king. Aggregators.
Aggregator, the algorithm.
Algorgators, yeah, exactly.
Algorgators.
Social media.
The alligators that created the internet.
His wife tried to put stickers on lewd albums in the late 80s. Exactly.
The crocodilians that actually won the 2000 presidential election.
At billscurry.bsky.social or William Scurry on the other site that we don't mention anymore. It's Instagram, all that stuff. YouTube.com/AMCaesar is where you'll find all this great stuff. And Noah is he's going to tell you how you can book him for your grandma's bar mitzvah.
Your grandma's bar mitzvah.
She converted. What do you want me to say?
It happens. My mom had her bat mitzvah at the age of like 45. So she was never bat mitzvahed as a child. So she and a couple, women friends, other moms, similar thing, they had a bat mitzvah.
So did she clear $6,000 from the family at that party?
No. Did you clear what?
$6,000?
Oh, $6,000. I think it's $6,000. And I'm like, are we talking about money in
South African? No.
Yeah, South Africa. What's going on? I don't know. I don't remember what gift she got. Learn about me at bigquizthing.com. Learn about the Big Quiz Thing, America's finest provider of corporate and private live trivia events nationwide, worldwide, etc. In-person, virtual, hybrid. Summer's been busy, man. We've been doing a lot of fun stuff, but fall's gonna be busy too. I'm hosting a pro bono event next week for the political group I work with, Sister District Project, a candidate in Virginia, because Virginia's got very vital legislative races this fall. So I like to do events for causes I believe in. So if you have a cause you think I might believe in, get in touch, and we'll find a way to help you raise some money, because that's what we're all about, is doing good in the world. That's what I'm all about, Bill, doing good in the world. So learn about it at bigquizthing.com, or find me on Instagram at the Noah Tarnow.
All right, everybody. So until the next episode, we're talking about the next big anime film, Polka Rabid Quail Hunters.
We don't get it.
A production of American Caesar Enterprises 2025.